I went into the legislature, and they ask you what committees do you want to be on, and I put kind of the obvious things for somebody from Leavenworth. I put like corrections and military and veterans, and they put me on elections committee, and I'm like, why did they put me on elections committee? It's like I don't have a lot of experience with it. I had not asked for it. But I figured, well, gosh, if I'm going to be on the elections committee, I should probably know something about elections. So I went to the Secretary of State's office there in Memorial Hall, and I sat for a whole morning with his elections team, the Secretary of State's elections team. And just great professionals. They forgot more about elections than most people will ever know. And just great information. My brain kind of left hurting. But while I was in there, my phone was blowing up. I mean, just like text after text and message, and like, man, what's going on? And so after I walked out, I looked at my phone. And the day that I was in the Secretary of State's office to talk to the election officials was January 6, 2021. And while I had been in there talking to them, it kind of was a morning that turned into an afternoon, all the stuff that happened on January 6th was happening. And right there across the street on the south lawn of the Capitol, there was a Stop the Steal protest. Now I know a lot of those folks, and I had initially planned, well, after I'm done at the Secretary of State's office, I'll walk across the street and I'll say hi to some of the people I know there. I decided to give it a pass that day. I figured that probably, maybe, not a good day to be out there. But the reason I tell that story is, if you don't think the Lord orders your steps, I had no idea that I was going to be on the elections committee. I had no idea that I was going to be involved with elections. And then the first day that I start learning about it, I walk out and, we have a ample demonstration of why it's so important, why our elections are so important, and why voter confidence is so important, why it's so important that people truly believe that the elections reflect their will. And we got a little sneak preview on January 6th of what it's going to look like all over the country if people stop trying to settle their differences at the ballot box, if people lose confidence that our elections are the way that we affect change in our country. However you feel about January 6th, I think we can all agree that those people really believe that the election had been stolen, and they were very angry about it. And I've lived places, or served places overseas where people no longer settle their disputes with elections; they settle them with guns. I spent 25 years in the Army, defending our Constitution and our way of life and our form of government. I will die before I'll let that happen in communities in our country. And so it really impressed upon me just how important it is what we do with elections. So fast forward 2 years, I've been reelected. I've been on the committee, and I really have a passion for it, as you're about to find out because I'm going to bore the hell out of you about it. But I really have a passion for it. And when you come back for your second term, it's kind of time to start moving up into leadership. And they're like, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to be this? Do you want to be that? I only ask for one thing. I want to be the chairman of the elections committee because this is so important. This is so important. And, if by 2022, another university, not this university, had done a poll of Kansans, and half of Kansans said that they no longer believe that the results of the election reflect their will. That's unsustainable. That's unsustainable for a state. That's unsustainable for a country that uses representative government in order to operate. And so I wanted to be the chairman of the election committee because I wanted to have a role in restoring voter confidence. And what I've done with the committee in order to do that is two things. First, I've made my committee a platform for conversation on the topic, because for the last 5 years we have not been having a conversation about elections. We've been shouting at each other. We've been yelling back and forth, calling each other names. We have not actually been having a conversation. So I've tried to turn my committee into a platform where people are forced to be civil. They get up, they get the time and the microphone, and the whole world's watching on YouTube and whatever. to make their case for their side of the issue. And then they're going to get challenged with questions by, the Republicans, by the Democrats on the committee. They're going to have to answer questions. They're going to have to defend their position. And that's something that hasn't been going on for years in this country. We've been calling each other, tinfoil hat wearing kooks, or, people wanting to steal elections. We're not talking to each other. We're shouting at each other. Sometimes in the committee, I'll hear a bill that I have absolutely no plan to move out of the committee, let alone get onto the floor, just so we can have a conversation. Like we had a bill that would have done runoff elections for governor if somebody didn't get 50%, because for the last few election cycles, the governor has won. Both parties, governors have won with less than 50%. So somebody had a bill that would have caused a runoff election. Well, if you've seen Georgia, you know what a terrible idea a runoff election is. But let's have the conversation, right? And people came in and talked about ranked choice voting. People came in and talked about, raising the bar for being an independent candidate. All kinds of different options. But we were having a conversation. So that's what I mean. But the other thing that I've tried to do with the committee is I have tried to find, and I'm going to use a military term because I'm a soldier at heart, high payoff targets, right? Things that we can do that are easy to do, don't make it harder to vote, but improve voter confidence. Because a lot of the things that you hear people say that are concerned that our elections are being stolen or aren't fair, I don't believe everything that they say, but they all kind of start from a premise. Like, we have no regulations in the state of Kansas for how drop boxes are put out or used or whatever. And so people start to think, well, golly, they're not very secure, because some of them aren't. Some of them are super secure. The drop box in Leavenworth County, there's a camera right on it. They take a picture of everybody putting a ballot in. But I've been all over the state talking to election officers, and I've seen drop boxes that are just like a slit in the side of the county courthouse where you can put your ballot, your property tax payment, or your application for a license plate. That's probably not secure, probably not as secure anyways. So people they have a concern about it because it is a vulnerability, and sometimes they kind of blow it out of proportion. But if it's something we can fix, let's fix it. I just use that as an example. A lot of the things that I work on are these high payoff targets. These things are simple. We can fix a vulnerability. Not saying that the vulnerability's been exploited, but I'm a homeland security guy. You don't wait until after the bomb goes off to fix the vulnerability that caused the bomb to get snuck onto the plane, right? You fix the vulnerability so that you never have the bang. You get to the left of the boom, as we say in the Army. So that's what I've been working on in the elections.